I just read a rather fine book, which I could commend. It's called The Song of the Nightingale. I brought it in if anybody wants to take it, and I'll pass it on. I like to do that with books. And it's about a woman who's a gospel singer. She's Eritrean. Her name is Helen Behani. She's a fantastic singer. I've looked her up on YouTube, but she sings in Eritrean, which is a bit tricky to tune into, but she's a wonderful singer. And she spent 2.5 years inside a container, the kind of container ship they have on ships, in tropical heat during the day and freezing cold at night, because she was a Christian. Not only that, but she was tortured and beaten so badly that when she was eventually released into hospital, she couldn't walk. She was beaten with fists, sticks, everything, because she was a Christian. And her story is not unique, unfortunately. This kind of treatment is meted out not to tens, not to hundreds, not to thousands, not to tens, hundreds of thousands, but to millions of Christians all over the world. Now, at this moment, there are people suffering. And I was very moved by Tina's lovely opening prayer, which said everything I want to say, really. Thank you so much, God, for allowing us to be here in a time of relative peace and safety. And we needn't be afraid or ashamed of coming to worship God. But for many people, they are. They're very afraid, not ashamed, but very afraid. And we can take courage from those people that stand firm in the faith in the face of such persecution. At the end of the book, Helen Behani writes, "So I want to give a message to those of you who are Christians and live in the free world. You must not take your freedom for granted. Use every opportunity to praise the Lord every day. If I could sing in prison, imagine what you can do for God's glory with your freedom." It's a powerful message and one we must heed, really. There's another thing that came from her voice in the YouTube clips I watched. She said, if you woke up tomorrow with only those things that you thank God for today, what would you have? So there are lots of people working for people like Helen Behani, but the group that we support, so many of us, is Open Doors, who've been working all over the world for many years, came out of the work of Brother Andrew. I'm sure many of you will have read his first book, God Smuggler. I first read it about 40 years or so ago. And he's still going strong. This man is astonishing. Open Doors have picked up the work. They work all over the world. There are lists of places in their latest book. I can't take you through it in the time that's allotted. But I'll leave this if anybody wants to take away and read it. They've been working particularly in North Korea. And one of the things they do every year is they publish a World Watch list. And these are the worst places in the world to be a Christian, the most difficult places. And they publish this and they launch this in the House of Commons every year. So they're asking us to write to our MP to attend the launch on the 17th of January. So that's one thing we can practically do today, simply write to our beloved leader on the Isle of Wight and say, please, would you turn up on January the 17th? I'm sure that's the date, but we can put that perhaps on the Facebook page. Tony, is that possible? Maybe the details. The main thrust of the latest publication is the work in North Korea, which for 15 years now has been top of their watch list. It's the worst place in the world to be a Christian. In fact, it's one of the worst places in the world to be a human being. But we're asked to pray for them. We're asked to pray for the Christians there. We're asked to pray for their leaders, that the light may shine into their country. And this is one thing we must do. I was wondering last night, I've got 1 minute left, I think, Tony. I was wondering last night, what would sum up what I want to say today. I'm not really familiar with talking to a church audience. If you want me to talk about biochemistry or anatomy, I'm okay with that. But this is more difficult for me. But I was wondering, I was 4 o'clock this morning, and my wife bought me a little light which you can clip onto a book to read in at night so you don't disturb your spouse. Very thoughtful of her, I thought. So I got my little light out, and I knew what verse I wanted, but I didn't know where it was. And this doesn't happen to me very often, but 4 o'clock in the morning, I open the Bible exactly to the verse, the first thing, just so wonderful. And I give you another commandment. You shall love one another. As I've loved you, so you shall love one another, that all people will know you're my disciples. And that's really what I want to leave you with. One of the people from Open Doors, an Open Doors worker in Syria, said that when he goes back and tells his congregation that people are praying for them in the West, they're praying for them, people in the congregation weep. They're so grateful to know that they're not forgotten. So that's what I want to say to you. Have a look at the Open Doors website. Write to your MP. If you want to contribute financially in North Korea, the average income is less than £2, not a day, not a week, but a month. So if you give a few pounds, it means a whole load to them. They can do so much. They can give. They send Bibles. They send clothing. They send food, medicine. They help rebuild homes. They have an advocacy project to help people out of prison and such like. And I've run out of time, so I'll leave you with that. And thank you very much. Thank you.